Right, anybody ever seen things like Terminator? They're called anti-utopian technology. So we're basically, we've been given this topic of man versus the algorithm. So you can take this in several ways, but there are actually nice movies where, like Wall-E, where the computer becomes very good, it's a really nice person. There's other ones which are TV. So we're going to politely go through that topic area, so you can all decide whether you're case. I've got the most fantastic panel to do this. Have you ever had someone say to you, it's not rocket science? Have you ever heard that phrase? Well, George actually can go, yes it is, because he's actually a former NASA rocket scientist. He's now CEO and founder of Rocket Fuel, quantitative scientist, big data, but also, which we're particularly chatting on, artificial intelligence used in this space. Next to George, we have Liversidge, who's all sorts of things. He was previously at Adobe. He would define himself maybe as an old radio officer, but he comes from a completely different space. You know where ads go to things like TV stations and there's things called trafficking. Imagine if you start there and then you think to what other things you can add and how that goes up. He's global CMO for DG, the whole company which all has MediaMind as part of it. And then we have that good old thing that we all like, the client, which is Sam Singh. Sam is the best type of client because he's been at P&G, he's been around the world, he's not just media, marketing, business, and he's now head of media planning and strategy for GSK, for in those long initials, GlaxoSmithKline. Okay? So, and we're going to discuss the topic of man versus the algorithm. Okay, so I'll do, there's a thing, IBM announced a survey a while back, which, and we heard it yesterday actually, about that less than 10% of people in clients understood what a DSP is. We're not going to, you're pleased to know we're not going to discuss what a DSP is today. Thanks, well, we're the most relieved about that. So IBM study said that the biggest worry of a global CMO was the fact that they felt that they were out of, the biggest gap in their knowledge or their worry factor was a lack of control of data. Right? So we keep on hearing big data, we're going through. So to what extent, if we talk about the area of data and computers is the genie out of the box, is it that you've got no choice now? Or is it we're over-exaggerating? What's the reality? So where are we on the internet and computers? George, what's wrong?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that I worked at IBM 20 years ago, and we used to call it data warehousing instead of big data. And we used to call it data mining instead of data science and machine learning and AI. But it's all the same right now. What's happening in digital media that happened in sort of the CRM and database marketing groups in marketing long ago when they realized direct mail and in the early days of email were direct channels. So what's happened is now we realize online digital can be a direct channel as well, where you don't have to send kind of a dumb broadcast message, but you can be intelligent about that. And so I think really what's happening is just the CMOs, they're realizing all of a sudden it's not just one little channel now that can be direct and smart and data-driven, but really all channels now can use that intelligence. And it's the IBM survey kind of is the area that they felt least prepared. And I think that's true, but there's a lot of technology and a lot of companies that are working hard, like Rocket Fuel, to help.
But so let's do the technology part of it. So what are the circumstances around? So people used to think the brain was a supercomputer, but what a computer does originally was just do things quickly. What's different now? It's not just doing things quickly. You know, we're talking about artificial intelligence. What is it that actually makes it a paradigm shift from what was possible 5 years ago or what's possible now? What are the market or other factors around that?
Right, well, that's the interesting thing, that now, because of advances in computation, you don't have to tell the computer anymore precisely what to do. You can give it a goal and have it learn how to do that better and better over time. And so that's a great opportunity for marketing, meaning you can just talk about not in the language of, I'd like to allocate this percentage of the budget to behavioral targeting, this percent to context, this percent to endemics, retargeting, yada yada. But you can just say, I want more customers. What it means to me to get another customer is to get a person to this thank you for becoming a customer webpage, and you computers over there, you figure it out. And they just can't.
They just can't.
Indeed.
We'll come back to that. Right, so we were chatting about this, everybody's been long enough another client, produce a film, send it to a TV station to slot it. We were chatting about earlier that now you can start to experiment. And so what's different from where you're from? What do you?
Well, I think CMOs should worry about data. I think they should continue to embrace it the way they are embracing it. But I think data breaks down into many pockets, and at the end of the day, CMOs manage a marketing mix. They manage an integrated. We're here. We talk a lot about digital. We think about innovation. We talk about DSPs. We always talk about the things that's at the forefront. But for me, it's data across all those channels, and you have pockets of data that isn't really coming together to do what you really want to do. So I think CMOs should worry about that. They should be demanding about that. But I think this whole thing about embracing data, I think, again, from a DSP point of view, it can put you in front of the right audience. So it can find you the right person. But is it in the right context? Is it brand safe? Is it being viewed in the way that you expect it to be viewed? So I think data can drive all of this. And so I think for CMOs, I think you have to embrace it. But I think from a technology point of view, a lot of these barriers, the barriers are coming down to really be able to help across the full marketing mix.
To go back to, is it the case that it's ticked and the computers can do it, or it's just a question of whether the clients can connect up their data? So what go back to the man. But is it the fact that the man doesn't want to let the algorithm and the computer do what they can do, or is it the fact that we're exaggerating to what extent?
I think there's certain areas where data and technology can take a lot of the heavy lifting and make decisions for you. But I still think you have to connect man to that in certain areas of that marketing mix. And let's be really clear. From a TV perspective compared to an online perspective, those two worlds operate very, very different. And I'm sure as we go on, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
We talked about this before. My worry about the man versus machine. I think it's sort of it's interesting. At any point in time when the machines start to do more than they did before, there's sort of this area between us. But if you look back now, I mean, we all got here with machines, trains, planes, cars. The word computer used to refer to a human who had an adding machine and was given a series of tasks and had to do them on. And now, once we've all gotten comfortable with machines doing these things, it just doesn't bother us anymore. And so there's always the shift over time.
The shock that is the language that we're using. So Sam, so you're, what's the real world? You're a client. You're actually spending money. Is the genie out of the bottle? How much is man still the orientation? How much do you really see those immediate plans buying being the machine doing it for you?
Look, Mark, finally I think it's about moving volumes and cases. And as you move away from the direct response businesses into the CPG world, where best-in-class companies are probably spending about 20% globally on digital, the big elephant is TV. And until you get into addressable TV in a big way, it's not going to go away. So yes, I mean, big data, kind of based like media buying and planning has a role to play, but we have to currently put it in context.
So you're saying, I understand, in the internet world you're saying, it's got to be. But you're saying, look, the majority still what I'm doing is over here. Jury's out, Okay. Right, just from the point where we'll push you to, you've got very different perspectives. So I don't want a sales pitch, but for the sake of the audience, could you, do very different things. So, George, can you explain rocket fuel, explain to me a little bit what artificial intelligence is. Rather than just saying, we just ask and it just does it. Explain to me a little bit more how artificial intelligence works and why someone, what makes it persuade these people out there that it's both real and it's really helpful.
Sure. Well, very briefly, the way we work with customers, typically an agency, is we make ourselves look like Yahoo or any other media partner. We just want to get the brief, respond to that with what we intend to do. But then the machine part of it is really once you are running a campaign, and any of you who've run digital media, I mean, it used to be, it was maybe 90% planning and then, launch and run and measure. And now it's really, there's still a lot of planning that sort of didn't go away. Now there's just even more work on the optimization, the monitoring, measuring, and budget reallocation, shifting things around. So what the machines are really good at is once you've launched a campaign, the machine can just detect out of all this information, it sees that it served an impression on this site and didn't convert. Let's say it served an impression on this site and it did convert, or it did lift brand recognition in some survey. So the machine learning aspect is just kind of putting together this giant list of every impression I've served before, all the things that kind of describe each of those impressions, not just the user, but context, device, time of day, and whether it worked or not. And then the machines can just look for patterns, and so they'll find things like websites you wouldn't have thought of that are actually driving really solid performance, and then they can go buy relatively more impressions from those sites using a formula and real-time bidding to sort of skim just the cream off of 30 billion or so impressions a day that flow through our systems.
So in theory, because we're talking about, so if I add something else to it, so we're talking to people about where people are, if someone else had to talk about their net promoter scores, it could be a customer. So as long as someone puts that in and you've got feedback, in theory, as I understand it, you don't just have to optimise the cost of the media, you go closer and closer to optimising what the client wants. The outcome could be a visit to a stadium, as long as someone gets the data back.
Exactly, and so the main thing then is trying to be able to get the data back as quickly as possible and as granularly as possible, so that we can know it was exactly this single or this set of impressions that led to this outcome, and that's what we just want to do more of. So it's nothing more than simply do more of what works, repeats. There's some smart experimentation in there that, as an agency perspective, a lot of companies come with this pitch. We have computers who will do everything amazingly, but then begins this long period of worry and fretting where the machines aren't actually working that well, and you're told, don't worry, it'll get better. But so the cool thing about technology now is that you can actually experiment really quickly as well, meaning not consuming that much of the budget. And do that very efficiently. So even the initial period of running can be as short as a few days.
So Ricky, so your business comes from a production spot. I mean, you better describe it, but explain, we'll chat this, it's in context of metadata, which is what we'll explain. So explain to me where it comes from, what's the missed opportunity?
Yeah, so we're a little bit different, I guess, from just a pure technology company in a certain vertical, in a certain niche. DG is actually a company that has one foot firmly planted in the TV world and one foot firmly planted in the online world. And that really sort of gives us a unique perspective and a unique viewpoint. And more so, our clients are asking us to bring those two worlds together. So, some of the things that we do, just to give you an idea, clearly live events are a big marketing opportunity. Things like the Olympics, things like the Super Bowl. DG actually delivers 80% of the TV ads into the Super Bowl. And, the Super Bowl ad may be a $4 million placement, and that's not even talking about the creative. So, advertisers care greatly about that. But what we're getting quizzed to do more and more is to connect that TV commercial to the online play through many other channels. Because let's be really clear, it's not really a TV. It's not going to be a TV world and an online world. It's going to be a multi-screen world. There's going to be private showings and there's going to be shared showings. And people are going to view those things in different worlds. So the market is moving dramatically. So for us, taking that TV asset and being able to use that TV asset from an online perspective, because one of the things that we do is we spend a lot of time around things like DCO. So DCO, which is dynamic content optimization. So, whilst you think a lot about getting in front of the right person, we think a lot about getting the right creative with the right message in front of that right person. So, in today's world, certainly on the online side, what you have is you have traffickers out there that are actually taking a piece of creative and really sort of connecting it to an insertion point. Yeah? That takes a lot of man hours. It's a menial task. And it's a cost to the business. You should be able to automate that. You should be able to automate that process, because you need to be able to make less content available and be able to make decisions. So you can do that for digital media, you can do that for rich media today, but you can also start to do that for video, and you can start to do that
So you can add other things. So we were chatting about, at the moment, for example, it's quite interesting. At the moment, the TV buyers buy a rating, but then don't know what the ratings are until they come out.
Right.
On the basis you know what the rating is, you could actually start changing the TV schedule to chase with the audience for your open night. So actually, if you really wanted to reach somebody on the night, you just go that way.
the world of TV is changing dramatically. It's moving to a multi-screen world. So, you know, the way that you can make decisions from like addressable TV and other things about how things are being viewed. Let's talk about, you know, second screen advertising. You know, people who are sat in front of a TV screen, the majority of people, something like 41% of the population, actually sit there with either their mobile phone or their tablet. When commercials come on, people like to click. People like to do things. If if your commercial that's on screen is synced to the commercial that's now on your laptop or your tablet or your mobile device, the engagement level, the experience, you know, we did a whole test around O2 and Channel 4. So we know what those things work like. So the opportunity to connect screens is huge as well. So, you know, I just think that the sky's the limit. So when you have one foot in TV and one foot online,
okay, so let's go back. So we've talked about what machine can do. So we've still got people. You know, so in the moment, agencies got people, clients got people. So are you talking about replacing people, or what? You know, so what's the benefit? What's the difference that you would advise?
So look, here's a data point in the TV world. A TV commercial is obviously produced from a post-production point. The metadata for that TV commercial is inserted 34 times manually. Okay, there's error. There's all sorts of problems with that particular process. That's a natural way for technology to clean that up. But in cleaning up that process, you also create opportunities from a delivery point of view, from an optimization point of view as well, because once you allow technology in on that thing, then you can connect onto
right, so I'll go back to mine. Every single Terminator movie starts off with a bit which is humans are fallible, they make mistakes, they can't do stuff quickly, let's get machines to do RoboCop. And then eventually it all goes terribly wrong and everybody dies, or it goes the other way. Just to step this back a little bit, right? The answer on all your websites is quite straightforward. You're very polite. You know, then they do something that's a commercial value, and the answer normally goes. And the good news is, planners can spend more time going upstream and doing other things. That's what everybody says. Okay, we've got people called procurement. And as far as I'm understanding, and I'll ask Sam this, in the real world, when someone says you can spend less because we're doing this, do they really put the people upstream, or does it all basically go back to the bottom line? Sam, what's the reality? Come on. If someone does this, are you going to buy saving, or are you going to let the man go upstream?
Well, I think finally it's about a couple of things there. For me, one, it is about maybe savings, but maybe ROI, which is linked to like top line growth.
Yeah.
So that's I think one area of like conversation. It takes me back to about 30, 40 years, before the world of like TV optimizers. You know, there was a time when TV schedules were made manually, and then you had like duplication tables, and you used them to to optimize. And then came optimizers, like on TV, which is similar to the conversation that we're having today about digital. But did planners go away? No, they didn't. They just moved kind of upstream. And started value adding in a very different way. So it's the same conversation happening all over again, with a different medium and a different technology.
I might mention that as well. Starting like a normal ad network, we would have had a lot of people running around manually, shifting buys across different sites. But as we've added automation, we haven't reduced the size of our team. We've just grown by over 100 employees just in this first quarter here. So what's been the win for us is to have the skill